Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to September 18, 2020 Community Development Block Grant Committee meeting. Due to the evolving situation to COVID-19 and the health recommendations from LA County and Health Department, the commission meeting will be available to public electronically. Due to social distancing requirements, the public will not be able to attend the meeting. This meeting can be viewed on local cable, Charter Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. You may also streamline through our website, www.glendale.california.ca.gov, by scrolling all the way down to the bottom of the web page and selecting live streaming, which is the third icon from the left. For the public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. Please do not call in advance of the agenda item. With this, we'll begin being said. May I have the roll call, please?
Committee members Caribbean. Committee member Caribbean, are you present?
Here.
Kazarian?
Yes.
Ramirez is absent. Vice Chair Armenian?
Present.
Chair Avedissian?
Present. What's next, please?
The agenda for the September 18, 2020 special meeting of the CDBG Advisory Committee was posted on or before Thursday, September 17, 2020 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Next is item 2, oral communication.
Oral communications. Do we have any calls? We don't have any calls waiting. Item 2. Okay, we move on to the next item, please.
Item 3 is reports information only. A is fiscal year 2020-2021 Public Social Service Programs update.
Good afternoon, Chair Avedissian, members of the CDBG Advisory Committee. We have a presentation here for you today regarding the 2020-2021 Public Social Services Program update. This will be a very good tool for the committee to use as a comparison for the next item, which is going to be coming up, which are the interviews. But at this time, we're going to go over this presentation, this PowerPoint with you to show you how in February, if we can get to the next slide, please. How in February, when we had our interviews and the proposals had come in, how it's been altered in fiscal year 2020-2021 with the contracts that have been executed. So what the proposals request was in February, for instance, for Children's Burn Foundation, and I'll go through these pretty quickly. For instance, Children's Burn Foundation had requested $21,000 and they received $15,000. Their purpose was to have a theatrical production come into schools to serve third graders and fifth graders, but due to COVID, it's going to be altered a bit. It's going to be more virtual. It's a taped program that they're going to have, and they're going to actually offer it to even more students due to that. So let's go to the next slide. Same with Committee for Armenian Students in Public Schools. This is a program that is dependent on being in the Glendale Unified School District in 3 schools. They had originally proposed $64,554 to be in 4 schools. They had they were allocated $48,000, and they were going to start implementing their program in 3 schools. And at this time, the contract states that they're going to have 63 students served as opposed to the 100 that they had proposed. And of those 63, they're going to be returning students since the Glendale Unified School District is not open yet for the school year due to the COVID pandemic. So that's a little bit of a comparison of what's happening with that program. Next slide, please. Housing Rights Center, their goals remain steady and the same. Their funding request was $20,000. They received $10,000 from us, but it should be stated they received $10,000 from our housing division as well. So technically, through the city of Glendale, they do receive $20,000. They serve 500 households each year with services and housing, but our main outcome is they are supposed to do 2 workshops, one for tenants and one for landlords. They've actually superseded that last year because they went virtual, and they served about over 22, they had over 22 virtual workshops, and they plan to have 2 specific to Glendale in addition to more throughout the fiscal year. Next slide, please. Family Promise of the Verdugos. They had proposed $18,720 to serve 30 unduplicated participants. They received $11,000 in funding, and their goal remained at 30. They found funding elsewhere. They have no changes due to COVID. They're still performing their contractual agreement the same as they would have before COVID. Their employee force is just using preventative measures for social distancing and CDC guidelines. Next slide, please. And Glendale Youth Alliance, they had proposed $62,868 with a goal to serve 50 to 60 youth. They received $37,000 this year, and they will be serving 40 youth. Now, they are going to be serving these 40 youth in smaller groups due to COVID, and the training that they receive usually in-house is now going to be in a virtual method. Next slide, please. So now you're gonna see 3 points. February proposal, their current contract, and these are the agencies that are requesting additional funding today. So in the February proposal for Catholic Charities, they had requested $48,609, but received $25,000. They're still going to serve 60 households, and they're going to find funding from their different sources of grants that they receive. I'm not going to go too much into the third bullet point because that's going to be the interview time, and we'll go back to these as a tool for the committee to use as a comparison. Let's go to the next slide, please. Boy Scouts Verdugo Hills Council had originally requested $50,000 in February. Their goal was to serve 2,500 youth. They received $10,000, and it was a council directive that they serve 40 youth with scholarship opportunities. Next slide, please. Salvation Army, the zone program is next, and their February proposal was a $40,000 request to serve 60 unduplicated youth. Their contract states that they are they received $20,000 and they're going to serve 50 unduplicated youth. Next slide, please. Now, Salvation Army is also requesting additional funds, but we'll go to that when they come out during the interview time to go over their next program request, which is the People's Choice Market Food Pantry. Next slide, please. Armenian Cultural Foundation, this is the after-school remote learning program. They had originally requested $40,000 with a goal to serve 100 unduplicated students, and they received $29,621. They reduced that goal to 40 unduplicated participants. Next slide, please. Armenian Cultural Association, Hamazkayin Intergenerational Experiences. Their February proposal requested $40,000 to serve 50 unduplicated youth. They received $15,000, and they are currently contracted to serve 30 unduplicated youth. Next slide, please. Door of Hope After-School Program. Their original funding in February stated $40,000 request to serve 30 unduplicated youth. They received $19,000 in their contract, and they've reduced their number to 18 unduplicated youth. Next slide, please. Armenian Relief Society Community Outreach Project. In February, they had requested $73,185 to serve 180 unduplicated clients. They received $60,000, and their goal became serving 130 unduplicated clients for this fiscal year. Next slide, please. Okay, that concludes this report. If you have any questions, we are going to go back to this PowerPoint as a tool for the committee to use as they interview agencies, to have something to look at.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you
My
for the
pleasure.
report. What's next, please?
Next is item 4, action items. At A is report regarding funding recommendations for reprogramming returned fiscal year 2019-2020 YWCA of Glendale Lexington Building Number 1 project funds to fiscal year 2020-2021 social service programs. And at 1 is conduct interviews with social services applicants.
Okay.
The first agency is Catholic Charities of Los Angeles, and we have Sandra Yanez speaking.
Okay, could you hold on before we start the interviews, if I may? I'd like to ask a clarification question and understanding for me and probably for public also. In this last September meeting or August 31st meeting that we had, and when the committee had accepted and voted on this 219,000 to go out for RFP, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we specified that this project, anyone that applying or any organization that is applying, will be applying for anything to do with COVID-19 process or anything to do with the COVID-19. Is that correct? Did I remember
Chair
correctly?
Avedisian, members of the committee, that is correct. That is actually stated in the RFP as a question, and it is actually throughout the RFP on how the implementation will go as a COVID-eligible activity. It is also reflected in the strengths and weaknesses of each proposal's analysis.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to make it clear for everybody and all the organizations and the public that that was the case in the applications. We do have some of the applications that they don't indicate much about the COVID-19, but we'll go through every single one of them and look at them on an individual case and individual basis. So with that, Sandra is online.
Chair Avedisian, members of the committee, if I may, before we start, and I apologize, Ms. Yanez, if you can give us one minute, please. We have 7 agencies that are awaiting interviews on WebEx, and staff has prepared a schedule for this afternoon's interviews. Each agency is allotted up to 15 minutes, which includes a short presentation and committee questions and follow-up. We ask that the agencies please use the mute option on WebEx until it's their interview time, and then they may unmute. This will help reduce static on the line, and once the interview has been conducted, the agency may sign off WebEx, so they don't need to stay on. After the interviews have been conducted, the committee will deliberate and they will make their funding recommendations. Just wanted to give you that update.
Okay, thank you. I hope it was clear to everyone. Would someone remind me of the 15 minutes or a few minutes before the 15 minutes so we can remind the speaker, please? Okay, Ms. Yanez, let's see what we're doing. Line 1, correct? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you. Good afternoon to the CDBG Advisory Committee. We appreciate you taking the time today. Glendale Community Center, as you all know, or many of you may know, that we've been around for over 30 years now, and we have one primary goal, and that's really homeless prevention services, safety net services. That's our goal, to truly help those individuals that are suffering in the community. We obviously, our services go above and beyond what we hope the community can do, but so our primary goals really are food, utility assistance, case management, and we're looking for extra funding here, primarily to serve the needs of the community at this point. And COVID has taken a strain on many families, particularly those families that have had reduced hours, unfortunate unemployment, or reduced income, and we're looking to help specifically those families that are seeking help with food or clothing or rental utility assistance. Really, it's a difficult time for everyone, and particularly those that have lost income most recently. So we're looking to help individuals with items like referrals to mental health, to health services, job training, and food. And the idea was that we could help an extra handful of families, 30 in particular households, with services. We have made some changes to the way we do programming to work with the social distancing and such, and so we have made some changes to the outreach for programming and how we speak to our clients, though the services haven't necessarily changed. And if anything, we're seeing more families and more need in our community, and we're hoping with this funding that we can serve those individuals that unfortunately have fallen to COVID-19. So we're hoping that this committee will find a need for it, and if there's any questions with regards to what we're doing, I'd love to answer them now.
Okay, thank you very much. Committee members, do you have any questions? Mr. Armenian, Mr. Gharibian, Mr. Garbedian?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
And apologies for not coming on video just because my signal is not very strong. Just a quick question. How are you attracting the clients? Is it just walk-ups to your facility? Is that how it's working, or are you also out looking for people?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have been doing like our standard marketing of the program, reaching out to local agencies that are servicing individuals that are hurting right now. So besides our regular marketing, we are taking appointments from people that call us. So in the past, we had just taken walk-ins, but since we are taking precautions at this point with social distancing, and we're trying to only see clients as little as possible, and when we do, we have to make sure, obviously, that we're in a ventilated room. So we try to do phone calls first as the primary form of contact. So we're asking individuals to give us a call, but we still are taking walk-ins, and we still are taking the referrals. We do take calls from 211 and many of the local agencies, but at this point, what we haven't done in the past is send out intake information, and now we are. So now at this point, we're basically sending out information through email, having them send that back, and only come in for to drop off pertinent documents, or possibly to have any wet signatures that we need for any of our clients.
Great, thank you. And last question is, how are you collaborating with other organizations or the city so that we make sure there's good leveraging going on? Thank you.
I'm going to have my program director answer for you. Daniela?
Hi, this is Daniela Guerra. So we are a part of the continuum of care, and we are partnered with Essentia, with other organizations such as Family Promise, as well as Maravilla Foundation, many other resources around the Glendale community, and we all work together. We refer to each other, and we just create that continuum of care. We provide resources, referrals, as well as in-house referrals to other Catholic charities, organizations, and programs that we have.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I was just looking at the budget that is completed. I noticed sure I'm seeing it correctly. So 34,000 of the 43,000 requested is for a case manager salary. Is that what it is?
Yes, correct.
8,000 for the regional director. So all the requests now is for salary, 100% of the salary.
Mr. Caribbean, please come close to your phone. We can barely hear you.
So just wanted to know if the 100% of the requested funds is for salaries of the manager and the director. Do I see that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Any other question? No questions? Okay. We're good. Thank you, Ms. Yanez.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
The next agency is Boy Scouts of America Verdugo Hills Council, and speaking on its behalf is Pete Simpson and Mike Hale.
Good afternoon and welcome. Hello.
Hello. My name is Pete Simpson, and I'm one of the scouting professionals at the Verdugo Hills Council. I'm joined by Mike Hale, who's our interim scout executive.
Thank you, Pete. I had trouble getting myself off a mute. I will start and then turn it over to Pete to talk about our program. I'm the interim scout executive, so I cover 11 councils in Southern California and Arizona. So Pete's a little bit more dialed into our program there. I wanted to talk about scouting a little bit. Our mission is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over the course of a lifetime. We do using our aim, what we call our aims and methods of scouting. Our aims would include character development, citizenship training, and mental and physical fitness. We do that through methods like the ideals of scouting, which is our oath and law that we live by, the patrol method, which helps teach leadership to youth. Obviously, we use the outdoor program as a kind of a laboratory for those things during non-COVID times. We do have an achievement program that gives young men and women a chance to succeed and learn life skills. An association with adults would be a method, so they have good role models, especially for some of those families that don't have those in their life. And obviously we teach citizenship and leadership, and there's been studies shown nationally that if we can serve a family with the scouting program for 2 or more years, that increases their cheerfulness, their helpfulness, kindness, so forth. And kind of the last thing I'd say about that is the longer we can keep a scout in the scouting program, the more we can affect their lives, making them good parents and good citizens of our country. Pete, you want to talk about the program?
Absolutely. Normally we're offering all kinds of camping programs and outdoor programs to scouts all over Glendale, Burbank, and some of the surrounding areas as well. And this year that's been really difficult. Obviously, we're not able to get together like we usually do. We're not able to get scouts outside and active because of COVID-19. It's not safe. And our number one priority as an organization is youth safety. So the reason we are applying for this grant is because we're needing to do a lot of work to change our program so that it can operate under the guidelines that LA County has for running this kind of program. So we'll be making changes to our camping programs, changing some of them to virtual programs, as we've already done with our virtual film camp, which saw scouts from all over the country and scouts from right here in Glendale, working with film professionals to learn about this amazing hobby that they might have, possibly a future career making films. And so we're making some changes to virtual programs, and we're also trying to figure out how we can get scouts up to our camp, socially distanced, safe, when the LA County guidelines allow, which is going to require a lot of training of our leaders, our youth and adult leaders, a lot of resources for making sure that we're constantly keeping our facilities clean, and that we are operating in a way that's safe for the kids that are going to be up there. Because we believe that...
Please wrap it up.
Sorry, what was that?
Please wrap it up. 15 minutes time limit. Thank you.
Got it. So we're going to be making a lot of changes, and that's why we're asking for your help. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about what we're working on and why we're looking for a little bit of help.
Thank you very much. Committee members, any questions?
So Zonko, I have a quick question. Unfortunately, I didn't see, it wasn't apparent in the proposal in terms of, I mean, first of all, you know, love the program that the Boy Scouts do, but it seemed like in the proposal is basically a description of what you do normally. And so what we're looking for here is kind of more specialized, targeted efforts and programs by organizations to address the COVID crisis, whether that be, families that are adversely impacted or youth that are adversely impacted. So while, of course, the program, generally speaking, is very helpful to youth, didn't see kind of how it was more precisely targeted to COVID impacts. If you could elaborate on that, it would be helpful. Thank you. No further questions.
The main way that our program is being tailored towards youth that are impacted by COVID-19 is that we are trying to address a problem that we've seen with youth not having an opportunity to socialize, increased anxiety and fear surrounding COVID-19, and we want to give them the chance to participate in our program to give them some sense of normalcy. So we are looking to modify our regular program in order to operate under COVID-19, which is the way that this is a response to COVID-19. Like I said, creating virtual programs, but also making significant changes to our existing camping programs, which have run the same way with minor modifications for many years, so that they'll be able to operate under COVID-19 guidelines. That means purchasing janitorial supplies, health and safety supplies, having more staff and volunteers engage in activities to make sure that it's clean, sanitary, and that scouts are behaving in a way that's safe, keeping social distancing and masks and the like.
Thank you. I have one question. From what I understood from your explanation in regards to the COVID, and I see your application, I know Boy Scouts, I've been a Scout myself, so I know Boy Scouts, what it does and what it's for and how good it is. However, in this program, as Mr. Armenian mentioned, there is no COVID programming, especially, and it's not indicated in any part of your application. The RFP one came out, and the application, I read your application a couple of times to try to make sure that I understand it correctly. There is no indication on the COVID that you have any planning. And as of what you just explained earlier, that you are just going to plan and schedule to do these things in order for the Scouts to have a program down the road and have a safe program with all the guidelines that it's out there for us. With that said, we only have a time frame till June of 2021, sorry. So you only have very short time that you can implement this program, get it done, and get this monies or funds, whatever that you receive, get it spend it with this all these requirements, including all these requirements that it's given to us by the state and the federal and city in regards to the COVID. So how do you really plan to do this in this short time frame? You really think that you can finish up this? You can do this the right way?
We've already had a committee of medical professionals, people who are very experienced in the scouting program, as well as an attorney to help us figure out how we can adapt to the guidelines that LA County is putting out for different programs to work with what we're trying to do. So we have people who are dedicated to making scouting happening.
Pete,
myself and the staff included.
the council is currently doing quite a bit of virtual scouting, correct?
That's true. We have already done some great virtual programming for scouts, including a virtual day camp and the aforementioned movie making camp.
So it's already been going on.
That is true.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Committee members?
Yeah, Chair Abedisian, I had a question.
Sure.
Again, two things, obviously piggyback on my colleagues, but besides the program part, which they clarified and asked and mentioned, so I see that, is this budget for 8 months? Is that written up for 8 months? Starting and ending in, if I'm mistaken, I saw a deadline of 8 months period budget. But in here on the annual, actual annual cost of $150,000 on your program, being with the COVID that we have with the social distancing, I want to know how much of this is in person and how much of it is by Zoom. Do you have an idea of, is it 50% in person? How many Boy Scouts you can actually serve under this COVID program with the social distancing, and how many of them will be via Zoom? Because when I'm looking at the budgeting, granted, for example, health and safety supplies is the smallest cost. You have $5,000 for the whole year. So obviously this tells me you're either focusing mainly on Zoom, not in person, because if it's in person for the whole year, I'm sure it's going to cost you more than $5,000 to serve all those kids for health and safety. And if it is by Zoom, then there are other costs like food and commissioner of $17,000. If it's by Zoom, how much of the food is being spent on? So these are the parts that is not as clear. Wanted to know the program itself first. My question is about what percentage going to be on Zoom, and if not, how do you determine who comes in person, who comes in Zoom, and why? How do you plan to program that?
So right now, sorry. Okay. Right now, the 100% of our program is virtual, because that's been what we've been able to do safely. But with the new youth sports guidelines that have come out, we are looking to start doing outdoor programs under the sports guidelines, with scouts going out hiking and doing outdoor activities safely. And we're trying to, and the situation is evolving pretty quickly with different guidelines coming out from California and LA County regularly. So as those change, we're going to try to be offering as many in-person programs as possible, as long as we can do those safely under the LA County COVID guidelines. So we're looking to have, so a lot of our programs are run by, we only have a limited number of programs run by our council each year. There's a list of camping programs that we have upcoming on the proposal. A lot of our programs are run by our volunteers in individual small groups and families. And those aren't accounted for in our council's budget because of the way that we partner with other organizations to run scouting programs, which would take a little bit to explain, so I'm not sure I have time right now. But with our camps, we're going to be trying to run several camps in person in the upcoming, in the new year, and even some before the end of the year. And that will be about, I would say, somewhere like 50-50 virtual versus in person.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other question? If not, again, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Avedisian, committee members and those who have joined us, I know Ms. Kamarian did mention you don't have to stay after your presentation is done, but I did want to clarify that if you can and would like to, just in case there are further questions, you're welcome to stay and watch the rest of the presentation, just in case at the end when the committee is deliberating, if they have additional questions, it's up to you.
Sure. I don't mind if they have the time. They like to hang around and watch. And if we do have questions that has happened before, we can always ask. So feel free. Okay, we move on to our third organization, Salvation Army.
Yes, and on behalf of the Salvation Army, we have Marlene Galvez and Captain Kelly Bergren.
Hello, this is Captain Kelly Bergren. I'm going to talk about our request for the food pantry, and Marlene's going to talk about our zone program. The reason we're asking for funding for our food pantry, our food pantry has been in operation for about 30 years now, and one of the biggest of food that we have has been the postal food drive. Well, due to COVID this year, the postal union and the letter carrier union has decided that they won't be holding that this year. So that normally brings in about 10 tons of food for us. So if you can picture 10 tons of food.
Captain Bergren, we're
Yes.
having trouble hearing you. If you could possibly get closer to your mic or your phone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Perfect,
Oh, wow.
thank you.
Yes. Please start over.
Let me start over. Thank you. So
We'll reset your time.
Okay. So I'm going to present for the food pantry, and Marlene's going to present for our zone program. So as I was saying, is one of our biggest contributors to our food pantry has been the postal food drive. This year, because of COVID, the letter carriers union has decided not to do the postal food drive this year. That normally brings in about 10 tons of food for our program. So if you can picture 10 tons of food, that's about 70% of the food that we go through on a yearly basis. So without that, obviously, we're having to dig into our own resources and our own monies to fund this. So far during COVID, we've spent about $30,000 in supplemental food. And normally there would be other food drives also, such as the Boy Scouts would do a food drive for us. But because of COVID, none of these other agencies, the partnering agencies, are able to support us in this year. So right now we're serving about 700 families every month. People can come in once a month. And we also pick up food through food finders from the local supermarkets, Brown, Barnes, John, and the other supermarkets in the area to help supplement. So we were able to give people milk and bread, meat and dairy products, but we also need to purchase now the canned food. Because right now our pantry is pretty empty, and we just don't have it in our budget this year in order to purchase all the extra food that we're going to need. So we're trying to organize food drives. I'm working with our Salvation Army Advisory Board, the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, and some other of the other businesses in the community that are actually meeting. Because in order to do a food drive, you need interaction with people, and that's been hard for us to do this year. So, and we've had to change our food pantry. We used to call it the market of choice, where people could come in and pick out the food that they wanted, but due to social distancing and the coronavirus, we've had to turn it into a regular food pantry where we're making bags of food and then offering the other food that we pick up on the street. So, and also with that, we're going to be heading into the Christmas season that is normally the best fundraising time for the Salvation Army, but we really don't know how our kettles season is going to go this year. There's a lot of variables out there. We just pray that this COVID situation goes away and everything goes back to normal. But I don't have the answer to that. So we're trying to feed people and do what the Salvation Army does, but it's just going to take more resources for us to do that this year. Any questions?
Committee members, any questions?
Salvation Army, we're very familiar with it. I even looked at the budgets and everything is according to it. But same question I had as far as social distancing versus in person. Just want to make sure how you have, obviously you're going to practice all the social distancing, but you have nothing from Zoom. This is all in person anyway, right?
This is all in person.
Right. Full time.
Yeah, we're like the market. We're not running to the gym at this time. They get their cart of food. They go out the front door and we bring somebody else to the side. And we're serving about 400 families a day doing that in a 3-hour
Captain Bergen?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, we weren't able to hear you. Can you please repeat that?
Okay. Yes, we're serving about 50 to 60 families a day, and we're keeping everybody social distance. Only one person is allowed into our facility at a time. We have the little feet outside the doors, keeping people 6 feet apart. And so once they come in, we have their food cart made up for them. They sign in, we give them a cart, and then they go out the door and we bring the next person in. So we have a fairly safe, efficient system here.
All right. Thank you. Any other question? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we have now item 4, the zone program, Salvation Army.
Yes, and we have Marlene Galvez who will be speaking on behalf of that program.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Hi. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time. Salvation Army is applying for...
Marlene, Ms. Galvez,
Yes?
please, if there is any other computers or anything that has volume, please reduce them and come closer to your phone or the computer. It really cuts off and we can't understand anything. We want to make it valuable what you say. Thank you. I think we just lost her.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead now.
Oh, hi. Yes, the Salvation Army is requesting an additional $20,000 for the Zone Afterschool program. This will cover the remaining portion of the Zone coordinator's salary and health benefits. As Captain Kelly mentioned, we are struggling since the majority of our fundraiser events for the year have had to be canceled due to social distancing. We're truly having something on getting the stuff. Our committed are 50 unduplicated kids, and we have added additional outcomes. Aside from having 22 students, and regularly, 14 of those students will improve in reading comprehension improvement. It's going to add other curricular classes to the kids. This will be provided either by Zoom or we're blessed to have the space in the zone where kids could come, 6 kids at a time. And we're providing topics like social and emotional learning, cultural conduct, therapeutic arts and craft classes, health and wellness, and also culinary classes to those kids that could come and do the more on-site visit. So we are trying to focus and provide more quality classes to the kids. Like I said, we asked the parents to sign up for the classes so we know how many kids will be on site. We have enough time to clean the area and then receive the other kids. We have been pretty successful doing the Zoom programs, offering tutoring to the current students, so they're able to call in or request a one-on-one Zoom or on-site with the program coordinator right now. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. Do you have any questions regarding the program?
Okay, thank you. Committee members, question? Mr. Armenian, Caribbean?
Just again, once again, I want to say Salvation Army were familiar with the program, and they're doing a great job, and just more power to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. See, let me understand this correctly because we were again getting cut off a little bit on the mic. So you are doing some in-person and some Zoom classes and trainings, after school classes, correct?
That is correct. We're doing both.
You're doing, okay. And what's the percentage of Zoom against the in-person?
The majority of the time is for Zoom, and about 2 hours of the time that the some pointers here is on-site meetings with youth in the classroom.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If there is no other questions, go ahead.
One question.
Go ahead.
What is your situation in terms of technology and your equipment needs or gaps that you might have? I know that's not what you're proposing here, but
we're not. So, no, it's a valid question. Thanks to CDBG funding from previous years, we were able to purchase Chromebooks for the kids. So we have an inventory of about 20 Chromebooks that kids can borrow. But luckily, Glendale Unified School District is providing a device for students to be able to log in. So the kids, when they come here, the majority of the homework is provided through them through Google Classroom. So they could also access that when they come to the program. We have, all of the equipment needed, again, thanks to funding from CDBG from other years.
So I have a second question that's a broader question regarding both Salvation Army proposals. You're the only organization that has put in 2 different proposals.
Yes.
So I know it's hard to make choices because there's needs everywhere. But if you had to prioritize between one program and the other, how would you force rank it?
So we had the same questions ourselves, and we understand that if one of them had to pick, I think our greatest need right now is food. Again, just because we lost the enormous amount of food with the food drive. And we have seen the increase on services requested, through our food pantry. So as much as, we still need the funds with loan, truthfully, the food pantry is the one that really is in most need.
Thank you for that honesty and then that answer. That's what it felt like to me, but I wanted to kind of get your assessment. So appreciate the answers and appreciate all the great work the Salvation Army does in a variety of areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And good luck. All right, we move on to our next organization.
Next is Armenian Cultural Foundation, and on behalf of them is Bache Tamasian.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Tamasian. Please remember you have 15 minutes and speak loud and clear into the mic. Go ahead.
How you guys doing? Am I pretty clear?
You're good.
Excellent. First of all, I want to thank the committee and the city of Glendale for very quickly reprogramming these funds. We all know that these great organizations all over the city are trying to do more and trying to serve the needs of our community members, and the ability to have another opportunity to receive funding to help with those programs is really great. So thank you for the quick movement to reprogram that money. By way of background, the ACF, since the COVID pandemic has hit, has repurposed and reallocated our resources at the Glendale Youth Center in order to turn into a COVID response center, mainly serving food and supply needs of at-risk and needy families that have called into our hotline that we set up. Elderly folks and folks that have had economic downturn as a result of the pandemic have been calling in for months. We've got over 1,000 families that have been served. And was that me? Wait.
No, go ahead.
Okay. With that program, like I said, over 1,000 families have received food assistance, many of them, returning for their fourth opportunity to get that help. In that program, we also utilized and leveraged our family network of organizations, as well as over 60 volunteers, and our center itself, and staff members that we've had at our center. Now, the reason why I give that background is because during that interaction with those families, we had the opportunity to also find out about other needs that these folks were facing and difficulties that they were facing as a result of the COVID crisis. And one of the biggest challenges and obstacles that people have been communicating to us has to do with education and school for those families that are dealing with either unemployment or limited employment, or even families that have work from home arrangements. There's no childcare. And as a result of that, we've submitted this application proposal to create a supervised remote learning program out of the Glendale Youth Center. The program is a direct response to the COVID situation where school closures are affecting youth, and it is an opportunity to allow in-person interaction at our center, engagement, socialization, maintaining social distancing, but supporting psychological development and children interacting with one another. Now, like I said, at-risk families have not been able to or not been able to afford childcare due to COVID and due to strained budgets. So as a result of that, many families with limited income have the additional burden of potentially losing their job if they have to choose between watching their children participate in distance learning from home, or if they have a couple of kids that are doing that. And so here we hope to repurpose the center to have 2 learning pods, each consisting of 10 kids that will be supervised in a socially distanced, safe environment, and participate in their schooling activities during the day.
All right, thank you. Questions?
Just one couple of clarification. So this is the program, so pretty much the kids K through 8, they'll be zooming into their school system or whatever they're logging in, and you have these individuals who's going to supervise them and help them with any questions they have on their homeworks or studies or stuff in that matter.
So I do want to point out that this isn't a tutoring or a teaching tool. It's a supervised learning opportunity for kids to come from various ages and various classes and participate in their own Zoom curriculum, their own school curriculum during the day in a safe and clean and supervised environment.
Yeah, I was just reading, for example, here you have supervise and support 10 at-risk youth in first learning pod Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. And since the program runs for 12 weeks, so this budget and what you're asking for is pretty much for 12 weeks?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
I was going to mention that, since the short time period of the RFP that went out, we had the opportunity to reach out and communicate with the Parks Department, which is running a great program called Education Connection, where they're doing the same activity. So we have had the opportunity to interact and had a site visit, and I believe that we have a lot of partnership and collaboration opportunity ahead of us.
Madam Chair, I was just going to just also follow up. So are you actively doing this now, or you haven't started yet?
We have not started yet.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question, Mr. Armenian, Mr. Azarian?
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
Going back to the background you gave regarding the initial COVID response, was that all done using your own funds and resources, or did you have other CDBG-like resources that you were able to tap?
Right. So that all was done with our own resources and volunteer support. We had dozens of volunteers that signed up to drive food supplies to different households of folks that couldn't leave their houses or weren't safe or comfortable leaving their houses. All of that was done with our funds and resources, including the repurposing of our existing staff at the Glendale Youth Center. Now, that has significantly impacted our budgeting. And after hearing all of the great programs that were presented today, I do feel like we've also honed in on what that need is and trimmed the budget as much as possible to be able to get the program off the ground.
Great, thank you. And last question is, how do you intend to identify the potential student candidates for this program? How do you intend to attract them to your program? Thank you.
Right. Our intention is to use multiple potential student pools, including GOSD, especially in the South Glendale area. There's a network of great churches and organizations that are in tune with more at-risk or low-income families as well. And in terms of reaching out to potentially finding those supervisors, we have great relationships with both GCC and other area universities and colleges to be able to find the candidates to work with those kids and supervise them.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other question? If not, then thank you, Mr. Tomasian. If you like, you can hang around and listen in, continue on listening in mute. If we do have at the end, if you do have any questions, we may ask. But if you can't stay, that's just fine also. Let's move on to our next organization.
Next, we have Armenian Cultural Association, Hamazkayin, represented by Tamar Tefekyan.
Good afternoon.
No,
Can you hear me
welcome.
clearly?
Yes, go ahead. Good afternoon, welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for CDBG Advisory Committee for this great opportunity to present our project. And I would like to start with describing whatever we have right now, whatever we planned during this COVID-19 situation. So our project will help our students and, of course, our community members to stay connected to the cultural activities and the roots, because we believe the culture is the backbone of any strong community, and especially with these days when the sense of community is a little bit lacking because of the COVID-19 situation. And of course, we're doing this following the guidelines of the health organization or to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And the purpose of the project is to continue the dance and the theater classes that we used to perform or offer before COVID-19, and also offer them during the COVID-19, and engage more students and give more opportunities for our community to participate to these activities while they were used to do it before the COVID-19. This will help especially our youth for their physical, emotional, and mental health being while they will resume the extracurricular activities during these hardships. We're expecting to serve 49 students for dance and 27 students for theater classes. Also, we will have tutoring technology pod sessions for 8 students that are struggling in their studies. Our program is targeting, of course, 60% of Glendale residents and mostly low and moderate income families that are much more affected right now due to COVID-19 on unemployment or pandemic situation. And the age group that we are serving is 7 to 13 for tutoring sessions. And as far as the theater groups, we have 2 different groups from 8 to 14 and 16 and up. For students or college students as well. And the dance classes are also in 2 different groups from ages from 8 to 14 and 16 and up. These numbers are not duplicated with our choir and art classes that we have already resuming those activities as well. So the goal of our project is to keep the mission of our organization. As I said, during this pandemic days as well, all of us were facing, and our community is going through hardship, and we need to be focused and more organized and even offer more services for them than the regular times that we used to do. That's why we decided to create an extra service with our technology tutoring pods, theater and dance classes that will target specifically the low moderate income population and keep them engaged with the activities that we offer. The project is targeting mostly the young children and the teenagers to keep them engaged and update with the activities that you used to do during their regular life, or with this new normal, with this COVID-19 new normal, they will be able to resume the same activities that you used to do, but of course in a remote setting or sometimes hybrid setting. So maybe even encourage some of them probably with this situation to try new activities, experiences that can help them cope with the new normal more smoothly than doing it alone. So these activities will help them thrive even during COVID-19 and will flourish their abilities. The project will serve different ages, as I said, with different interests and needs. We will have theater classes once per week for each group, and dance classes once per week for each age group, and each class is 1 hour long evening time, and will be on Zoom to respect the guidelines and restrictions that we have from health and government officials. As far as the technology tutoring pod, we are going to be offering soon, the week of 21st of September, we are going to offer 5 days a week, from Monday to Friday, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. during their school Zoom hours, with an hour and a half break from 11:30 to 1, and then we will have a tutoring session after they finish their Zoom hours with their regular classes. So, of course, we're offering all these services to students and following all the guidelines carefully and opening the service with phases. At the beginning, we will only allow 4 students with, of course, social distancing, respecting those social distancing guidelines. And after 2 weeks, we will have another 4 students, and the total number is 8, and one tutor will guide them and help them with their school and academic needs. So with this COVID-19 days, our community members, we know they're having difficulties, and especially young students, teenagers, are more affected with this situation and more likely, they can't focus at this time. The learning is much more difficult than the routine school days. So our ultimate goal is to plan, implement, and benefit our community members, young students, and teenagers the most. We believe they need our support the most at this time, and we would like to provide that support to them and the right service during the COVID-19 days. We're also serving adult and college students that they're in need. We're announcing our services and classes to our great city of Glendale, GUST, ANCA, ARS, and local private schools, and we're encouraging them to participate and get the extra benefit from the opportunities that we are offering besides our regular activities during COVID-19 as well. Of course, we're utilizing our social media as the best resource to let our community know about our services, and we have email campaign to reach out more members in our community. Maximum 60% of our participants are Glendale residents, as I said, and of course the low and moderate income families, those who are mostly affected by COVID-19 situation, even they lost their jobs or had reduction in their household income. As far as the outcome, so our program will be beneficial for our students, as I mentioned, and we're planning to have, let's say, out of 49 students in our dance class, 30 of them will be able to improve their dance skills and will be performed at least in one online performance session. Our theater class, 16 of the 27 students will be performing in an online play and will fully develop their oral expression skills. And regarding the technology tutoring pods, five students of our 8 students will meet the standard requirement of the grade level or even exceed it. And the plan is going to be implemented, of course. As I said, classes are twice a week for the dance and theater classes for different age groups. Each age group is meeting once, and the classes are going to be on Zoom. By the time, if the health guidelines will change, we probably have hybrid classes as well, and those are all starting from September 21st. And the technology tutoring classes, as I mentioned, it's going to be started also the September 21st week. And this is all. Our program is like this. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer them.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, committee members?
So Zanku, Armenian, I have a couple of questions, and I'll ask them both, and then I'll go on mute. A comment and 2 questions. So one is, first of all, I appreciate all the work that Hamazkayin does. But I'm a little bit confused, and maybe it's from your comments, but you seem to be proposing to do many different things here. You've mentioned, remote dance and theater. You've mentioned what sounded like an after-school program in terms of tutoring. So if you could clarify around that, like exactly what you're trying to focus in on from a COVID perspective. My second question, so I actually have 3 questions. The second question is, when we did our community, are these programs, theater, dance, etc., are they centered around the Armenian culture, or are they more broad? Can non-Armenian students, youth also participate? And then third question was, I think you said 60% of the targeted audience is from Glendale, and if I did hear that correctly, where's the other 40% coming from? Thank you.
Okay, for the first part, thank you for the questions. For the first part, it's going to be the learning technology and tutoring pods that we're offering, that specifically is targeting for the COVID-19. And we're planning, or our mission, our goal was those families that, let's say, they have working parents and they can't, and they, like 9-year-olds or 10-year-olds kids, sometimes they will miss the classes via Zoom. So probably they need someone to just control them, not in a sense of they're doing their lessons, they're doing their job. Of course, they're coming to the center and they're having that break. And if they need any help after 2, as I said, they will have that 1 hour to finish their homework, to finish the difficulties that they have via their remote learning sessions. So for the other 2 classes, the dance and the theater classes, those are the classes that we're offering because, I mean, we can't go like big numbers in-person classes. That's why we're offering those online classes or the Zoom classes, which will be set up in a Zoom meeting session, and everyone is doing their practices, of course, guided practices, theater or the dance via Zoom. And then for the community services, of course, it's not only for Armenians, it's also open, as I say, for the GUSD students. And the second and the third question, I believe it was about the 60% of the Glendale residents, right? I mean, that is the minimum that we're targeting, and from the rest will be from adjacent cities that close to Glendale.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Sure, this is another question. So, one for obviously you have been doing these stuff, most of them anyway, but even though it's a crisis issue, even the name is, but I see here in a positive way that you are more of helping in a psychological aspect of the COVID dealing, which is the dance and the theaters and all that, which I think our society is in need of, with having everything going on the media, from the fires and politics and COVID-19 and all that. I think having something psychologically helping our society is a great thing to look into. Granted, we need all of them. We need the crisis as well. The food banks, they're all needed. But your program, it seems like it's more directed in that direction, which I think is a great thing, because everybody needs a break with this pandemic and everything else that is going around us. So thank you. The 60% part that my colleague brought up, I just want to make sure, because sometimes when I read, you mentioned that several times in your report. It's all over the place. And with the budget income that you have right now, the 60% covers this budget, or this funding covers the 60%, or what I'm trying to say is the amount that you're requesting, that 84 unduplicated youth, which is on the screen right now, the budget covers 60% of the 84 from Glendale, or the budget is for the 84 from Glendale? You know what I'm trying to say? How much of it is from Glendale to be exact?
It's with the numbers that we have. Of course, we didn't participate. We didn't put the name of the students, but almost the 80% are right now Glendale resident.
Right, which I noticed you say you're expecting 49 students, 27 for theater, and 49 for dance and all that stuff. And I think it's mainly it's the way it's written up. What you're probably trying to say, again, I'm assuming from the way I see it written up, that you're participating not necessarily 60% from Glendale, but you're expecting to serve 60% of Glendale. I think it's just more that way, just the way it's written. So you're trying to serve 60% of Glendalians.
Yes, 60 and more.
Committee member Garibian, Committee Member Garibian, if I may, I believe the reason why it was written that way is because they are a current contractor of CDBG, and as one of the CDBG guidelines, they must serve 60% Glendale residents, and it might have not been written the way, not clearly written, but that's, I think, what they're trying to convey is at least 60% must be Glendale residents, even though that they're at an 80% range.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I thought that the way it's written, what they're trying to say is they're going to serve 60% of Glendalians versus 60%. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
I have just one quick question. Are these programs that you're offering, are they free, or are you charging them to come in and participate? Especially the after-school classes or anything?
No, they are free.
Free. All right. Thank you. Any other question?
Sure.
No questions? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Tavangjian. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
And if you like, you can hang around, listen to in your, just make sure your phone or computer is in the mute.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on, I want to make sure and remind the public, if anyone would like to comment or call in for comments during our meeting, which is the public comment would be somewhere around 4:45 p.m. They must call in at 818-937-8100. So if you have any comments and you need to speak, please make sure you call at 4:45. The phone number is 818-937-8100. Thank you. With that, we move on to our next committee, next organization, Door of Hope.
Yes, and we have Griffin Hattelstad with Door of Hope.
Hi, hello everybody. Thank you for your time. First to begin, just wanted to give a little bit of background about Door of Hope and the services we provide in the city. We operate a transitional shelter for families who are fleeing domestic violence, as well as their children. So we house 13 households at that facility. Usually that's about 39 individuals who are residing at that shelter at any given time. We have received CDBG funds for a few years now, and those funds are devoted to our after-school programming, which targets the children in those families, helping mitigate the educational impacts of homelessness and the trauma of domestic violence in their lives. For our additional funding request, that's just under $10,000, and it covers two main offerings. One, which is the lower cost of the two, is the goal to provide high quality and high speed internet connection to all of our children, all of our after school program participants, so that they can reliably access their distance learning and online learning through their schools. We would provide that on site, and the costs there are associated with upgrading our speeds through our contract with Spectrum, as well as upgrading some of our software on site. Our current internet infrastructure is basically that it's built to operate with the assumption that all the kids are usually in person at school. Obviously, these days that's not the case, which means there is an added burden on our internet infrastructure, and it's had a hard time holding up. So the upgrades there are very necessary. The second offering that we would provide through our additional funding request is nutritional grocery support. This would be to help offset and mitigate the impacts of COVID-19's economic impact on our families. Many of our families have experienced income reductions because of furloughs, hours reductions, and layoffs because of COVID-19. We would be requesting $9,000 to help those families with grocery support. And that would be in the form either of grocery gift cards, as we do have a nearby grocery store that's easily accessible for our families, even without transportation. For families who are at particular health risk or who are uncomfortable going to the grocery store because of the risk associated, we do also have staff available who could purchase groceries for them and provide them. An important note there is that that's intended to be a supplement for our families' groceries to make sure that they're getting nutritious foods. And also it's meant to just free up their budget so they are able to save up for permanent housing when they're ready to leave our program. We would be providing that over the course of 9 months, an average of approximately $100 of grocery assistance per family. Although if there is lower need each month, we would increase the allotment per family there. Those are our two main offerings, and those would reach the 10 children, 12 or younger, and 10 teens and youth aged 12 and older who are already served by our after-school program. But it's important to note that these two offerings would also benefit their parents and their siblings who may not be receiving direct services through our after-school program. So in addition to those 20 children and youth who are being served by the after-school program, we estimate that this will serve 11 adults and 34 children or teens total. I also wanted to take a quick moment to address the staff analysis from the city of Glendale. The one identified weakness that was identified in our application was that the community need was highly evident and substantiated, but the funding request did not reflect that. You can see in our screen there that request was just under $10,000. We didn't want to drastically increase our CDBG budget as we are already receiving $19,000, excuse me. However, we did go back to our program staff seeking to identify some other needs, some other costs that we could cover, and we would be honored to be considered for any additional funding that is left over after awards are given to all of the many deserving applications we're hearing today. With that being said, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Although we're very familiar with your program. Any questions, anyone? No?
Just want to say, again, we're familiar with the program in detail. And again, obviously, the requested amount compared to job being done, it's obviously a lot less, and great job. Thank you. We're familiar in detail.
Thank you for your kind words. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, sir. And good luck. Again, if you like, you can hang around in the mute, and you can continue watching us until the end.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. What's next, please? Or who is next?
Next, we have Caroline Fabian with Armenian Relief Society of Western USA, Inc.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kala, and I serve as the Director of Operations for Armenian Relief Society of Western USA Social Services. Our organization has been well active in this community for 41 years. We are currently requesting additional CDBG funding in the amount of $53,445 to expand our community outreach program and incorporate COVID-19 response for low-income individuals and families in the Glendale community, which have been ongoing services that are being provided by our agency since the onset of the pandemic. Our funding request is to provide nutrition services in the form of a food pantry that we currently maintain at our office. Since the Safer at Home order that was issued back in March, our organization has already placed this area of service as a priority to help ensure food security for those who are most vulnerable in our communities. We intend to serve 40 individuals and 60 households with food bags for a total of 100 clients in this service area. Also, we would like to expand on our employment services in the category of job training and placement to be provided for 45 unduplicated clients who have been COVID impacted. Our services have been helping clients to receive training they need and attain employment so they can re-enter the workforce. We've witnessed a continued increase in demand for services as a result of the ongoing pandemic, and we've seen the tremendous impact and toll it's had on low-income individuals and families, as well as older adults. These individuals also include those who have experienced job loss, reduced working hours, or even disrupted work schedules. During the pandemic, our agency has ensured that services are being provided without any interruption. We've placed great focus on education and awareness regarding health and safety precautions, providing information on available city and county resources, ensuring food security among vulnerable populations, assisting them with obtaining public benefits, meeting various social services needs, as well as developing on existing collaborative relationships with local cities and other community organizations. Clients currently that are being seen at our agency are being done so on an appointment basis at the present time, with all health and safety measures in place. Those include temperature checks, placing visible signage, use of face coverings and hand sanitizing, physical distancing, and other guidances. By expanding on this program, we will also be able to hire a new case manager because of the overwhelming response that we've received for the community for a need for services. We'd like to designate one new case manager to directly be responsible for the direct service delivery to the COVID-impacted individuals and households. We're hopeful to be considered for this additional funding request and do our utmost to help mitigate these challenges that have been caused by the pandemic. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? I guess no questions.
Sorry, just I saw the participants. Just want to make sure for this program also you're continuing with the same participants that it's stated there.
No, we expect to be serving new unduplicated clients by expanding the program. Additional unduplicated clients.
No, I mean agencies that you participate with. Those are the ones.
Oh, yes.
Same agencies that is reported. This program, you're gonna participate with them as well.
Yes, I mean we continue to collaborate with the agencies that we listed in our proposal. Those include the YWCA, Ascensia, the Glendale Business Task Force. These are ongoing relationships that we have that are year-round, and because of the pandemic, they've heightened, and we're able to strengthen those relationships with our community partners.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know personally.
Zanku, one question.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Zanku. Mr. Armenian.
Yes, just my question is, how has the COVID situation impacted your overall kind of financial capabilities to meet the needs and the finances impact to your organization?
We've been fortunate enough that we have not had any kind of severe financial impact. We've actually seen a great support from our community as well in terms of donations that we've received to be able to provide the COVID response that we have so far. Our grant funding from the various county and city programs that we have remained unchanged as a result of the pandemic, and so we find ourselves fortunate because we're able to deliver the services that we're here for in the community. There was actually another upside as well because we were considered for expanding another program for our Los Angeles County Community Services Block Grant, which will also focus on employment support for COVID-impacted individuals. So the financial impact has been very minimal. We have not felt one, fortunately.
That's awesome. Okay, any other question? If not, thank you very much. Again, if you like, you can continue on listening in while in the mute, while we continue the meeting. What's next, please?
Chair, addition, that was the last agency on the schedule. So next would be either public comment or deliberation. And I'll just read item 4.2. Sorry, a little 4A2 into the record. And it's motion to approve funding recommendations for reprogramming return fiscal year 2019-2020 YWCA of Glendale Lexington Building Number 1 Project Fund to fiscal year 2020-2021 Social Services Program.
Okay. How do we feel? Anyone wants to start elaborating on the proposals? Mr. Armenian, Mr. Arabian,
Sure.
Azarian.
I can throw out I'm happy to throw out some ideas. You're talking about in terms of the allocation of the amount, right?
Correct. As of now, we do not have any callers, so we'll continue on.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so you're asking the committee for thoughts about how to allocate the funds?
Yes.
Between all these proposals?
Correct.
Okay.
Give me 1 second, Mr.
Yeah.
Armenian, committee member. Let me make sure the community is aware, again, reminder, that if they do need to call or want to talk to us in any of the scheduled items, they may call us at 818-937-8100. If they do want to talk, this is the time to call, 818-937-8100. Mr. Armenian, please continue.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
okay?
go ahead.
Okay. Here's my thoughts. I'm just going to throw the numbers out and then I'll explain my rationale behind it. I'd like to propose that we give the amount Catholic Charity question. It's 4481. I'm just going to do the order.
Vice Chair Armenian.
And
Vice Chair Armenian, we can't hear you.
It's going out.
Sorry, could you repeat it?
We couldn't hear you. We couldn't hear you. You were going out. Now it's better.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm going to talk fast while I've got a signal.
Go ahead.
So full amount for Catholic Charities 43,481. Boy Scouts 10. Salvation Pantry Program 40, which is their full amount. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Salvation Zone 5,643. The Armenian, the ACF, the Afterschool Program 50.
Okay.
Hamazkayin, or their full 9,880. And Armenian Relief Society 50. I think that totals 219,004.
Okay.
My rationale around that, I think I'll just kind of go around it. I think the food pantry programs are critically important overall because we have a very high impact when it comes to people not being able to afford to eat and eat because they've lost their jobs. So that's why the Catholic Charities Program and the Salvation Pantry Program, I would propose going full. The next thing is the youth program. So in this case, I really program at the CF proposed and
okay, Mr. Armenian.
On their own.
Okay, you were getting cut off again. You were getting cut off, so I'm gonna try
Okay, I
to.
apologize.
It's okay. I can, I'm gonna repeat the dollar amounts.
What?
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat the dollar amounts that you suggested, so we have it in the record, because the staff weren't able to hear you well. So what Mr. Armenian, committee member Armenian suggested, the $43,481 to Catholic Charities, $40,000 requested to, let's see, Salvation Army, the food pantry, $10,000 to Boy Scouts America, 5,643, if I'm not correct, correct me please, 5,643 to Zone Program, Salvation Army, ACF from Remote Learning, $50,000, Hamazkayin Cultural Association, 10,000, Door of Hope, they're full asking, 9880, and 50,000 to Armenian Relief Society. Was that correct numbers, Mr. Armenian?
That's correct, thank you, and obviously open to input from my other committee members, but I just thought I'd start the discussions off with that.
Thank you. Who wants to go next? Mr. Gharibian, Mr. Arvetian?
Just quickly, I know you went over the numbers, so I was writing it down. Is there any way we can have this up or no?
They are putting it up right now. They're working on it as we speak.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I just wrote it down. I haven't grasped what I wrote down, so I need a couple of minutes to see what happened while they're typing it up. So give me 2 minutes. So let me just go over it.
Okay. It's up there.
Just want to clarify, we were 78,000 over budget to begin with, right? When we started the interview.
As the numbers, yes. As the numbers was what they had applied for, yes, $78,102 were over budget.
Okay, thank you.
And I just want to remind, while we were reading these numbers and everyone, again, this is probably more for the community than the committee members, that this was very special COVID-19 pandemic funds that we were going to give out to any organization, and the RFP was exactly requested that for special use for COVID-19 needs or programs.
Chair Avedisian, as we wait, there is a caller on line 2.
Oh, we have a caller?
We have a caller.
Oh, okay. Caller number 2. While we're waiting, I'm going to answer the caller. Zara from Boy Scouts of America. Zara from Boy Scouts of America. Please go ahead. You're online. Hello? Hello, Zara? Oh.
Hello?
Hello, Zara?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. You're online.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. I appreciate your time and your consideration. My name is Zara Armenian, and I am a board member for the Verdugos Hills Council, Boy Scouts of America, as well as a former CDBG commissioner for the city of Glendale. I wanted to offer you my thanks for your consideration, and also really echo some of the things that Michael Hale and Pete Simpson mentioned in terms of how important scouting is for our youth, boys and girls, during this pandemic time when they're not in school. They're having a lot of difficulty in terms of socialization, and the Verdugo Hills Council has been stepping forward in order to meet the needs of the community, especially as it pertains to low and income youth whose parents don't have the opportunity to put them into such programs that will help them socialize during a time when they've been kind of locked indoors during this pandemic. So I really encourage the committee to give the Boy Scouts of America as much funding as possible, because it meets an extremely important need for our community, and it's one that's supported by the stakeholders of the city as well as the city council. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is I have a question about our process.
Yes, go ahead.
I appreciate the comments from the Boy Scouts, but I'm a little bit confused about the process we're following, because if we have every organization just kind of jumping in and reacting to our deliberation, then we're not going to get through this. So I just want to know how we're going to go about this. Are we going to give the other organizations opportunities to jump in as well, or where are we on the agenda?
It was, this was scheduled as a public comment. It was already in our program and our schedule. He had called in earlier, but somehow we lost him, so he had to call back. So when he called back, we did accept him to speak.
So we're going to close the public comments so we can deliberate?
Yes, we are closed. We have no other calls. We are closed and we are in deliberation. Are you ready, Mr. Arabian?
If Mr. Ghazarian wants to go first, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, Glendale community, 40,000. Boy Scout, 20,000. People's Choice, 35,000. Zone, 10,000. ACF Remote Learning, 45,000. Hamazkayin, 20,000. Dora Hope, 9,000. Community Outreach, 40,000.
Okay.
Four that are left.
Let's see.
You make 9,000 and $4.
Were you able to hear? Let's see. Are we being able?
It's probably too fast. We'll probably have to repeat.
Okay, I can. We can repeat it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll repeat it. 40,000. I'm gonna go with the numbers. Oh, you have okay. You have it that way. Salvation Army Zone. Let's see. That's how you have it, right? Okay, I'll go with the numbers. Your numbers. Number one, 20,000, which is Salvation Army. Number two, Zone, 10,000. Okay, I don't see your other list, the names. Maybe you can reduce either the program or the agency. Reduce the program name so they're all in one page, if you can.
Chair Edition?
Yes.
The number you're mentioning, the numbers on the Excel is different from the numbers we're looking at, right?
Those numbers that I'm mentioning, yes. The numbers that it's on our program, the way it was numbered and we did interviews, is different than what's on the spreadsheet. And the numbers that I'm reading right now is Mr. Ghazarian's numbers.
Okay, I just want to make it clear you're repeating, can remember Ghazarian's numbers. I just want to make it clear.
Yes.
Okay.
I am repeating Mr. Committee Member Ghazarian's numbers. Okay, where do we have? ARS, 40,000. Boy Scouts, 20,000. ACF, 45. Catholic Charities 40, and Door of Hope 9,000. Sorry?
$9,004.
$9,004.
I think there's a mistake on the ACF one, right?
45.
45,000? 45,000, not
Yes.
4,500.
The ACF.
So ACF is
ACF is
45,000.
number 7,
Yes.
and your list is 45,000.
Is this the correct amount?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure for Salvation Army, the Zone After School program, it was 20,000.
No,
10,000.
35,000.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that?
Salvation Army, People's Choice,
Yes, that's 35,000.
35,000.
And the Zone After School program?
10,000.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Can I say something?
Who is this?
This is Tamar from Hamazkayin.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry. There is no more comments. You may only listen to the conversation unless we have a question. We'll ask you. But meantime, you just have to listen. There is no more comments, please. Thank you.
Committee member Gazarian, I just want to make sure for Armenian Relief Society, it was 40,000.
Yes.
Okay, and for Boy Scouts of America, it was 20,000.
Yes.
And for Armenian Cultural Association, it was 4,500.
No.
What is the correct?
45,000. 45,000.
45,000.
No, the ACF was 45,000.
No. Armenian Cultural Association.
Hamazkayin.
Hamazkayin 20,000.
20,000.
And for Catholic Charities of Los Angeles, it's 40,000.
Yes.
Armenian Cultural Foundation, 45,000.
Yes.
And for Door of Hope, $9,004.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So far we have Committee Member Armenian and Committee Member Azarian. Are you ready, Mr. Arabian?
Yeah, I haven't done the totals, so in the end I might have to adjust the totals, just round them up. So let's enter them, and then if I'm short and off, we'll adjust accordingly. So for the Catholic Charities, I'm going off of my list because it's too small on the spreadsheet. So Catholic Charities, I have it at 40,000. On Boy Scouts of America, I have it at 12,000. Salvation Army Food Pantry Program, I went with 37,000. Salvation Army Zone Program, I kept to keep the numbers rounded at $5,643 as Mr. Armenian. On Armenian Culture Foundation, I'm at 45,000. On Armenian Culture Association, Hamazkayin, I'm at 25,000. Door of Hope, I did at 9,880. And on the Armenian Relief Society, I'm at 45,000. I don't know if I'm short or over. And if I am, let me know and I can adjust it.
You're over by 519.
I'm over by 519. So let's adjust the Salvation Army Zone Program, please. You said 519, so it'd be $5,124. Can you repeat what I said just to double check, make sure, because I can't see my screen, it's too small.
Committee member Garibian, of course. For Salvation Army, the zone after-school program, it's $5,124. For the Salvation Army People's Choice Market Food Pantry, total is $37,000. Armenian Relief Society Community Outreach Program, total is $45,000. Boy Scouts of America, total is $12,000. Armenian Cultural Association, total is $25,000. Catholic Charities of Los Angeles, $40,000. Armenian Cultural Foundation, $45,000. And finally, for Door of Hope, the total is $9,880.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I increase it from here? No, I can't tell. Okay,
Is there a way you can quickly email this to us so I can spread it out? 'Cause I can't see either on TV or on my monitor. They're both too small. Mr. Armenian, can you read what's on the screen or TV? I just wonder, is it me or
it's you. It's bigger now on the screen. Can you see it?
Now it's great. Yes, I can see it now. That is great.
Okay.
I don't have to. We don't have to see the previews. You can just minimize it and show us today.
Yes, just the today's.
Just today's, please. Yeah. I have the other ones. There we go. If you enlarge it a little bit, excellent. Oh, there we go. That's great.
Okay, you can also reduce the program name maybe, so you can have it all the numbers only.
There we go. Fantastic.
Yeah. All right, very good. Okay, my turn. Okay. I'm gonna go from bottom up, if you're ready. Door of Hope, gonna leave what they've requested, $9,880. ACF, I had them for 45,000. The Catholic Charities, their requested amount 43,481. I think that's what they were requested. Because I really see their program and how they help. They really do. Hamazkayin, gonna leave it at gonna put at 10,000. Boy Scouts of America, I'm gonna put it for 10,000. Oh, let's see. Armenian Relief Society. Adam 45,000. Salvation Army, the Food Pantry, 40,000. And the balance is what? Oh, I have 15,000 left, right? Okay. And
To be exact, 15,643.
correct. Okay. So the zone program, let's give them that 5,643. And the 10,000, let's add 5,000 to Salvation Army, I'm sorry, there's 5,000 to Boy Scouts and 5,000 to Hamazkayin. That evens out. Let's see who's Okay, anyone wants to make any changes? Committee members?
I was just going to suggest there's some that there's kind of more agreement on than others. So maybe if we can at least check some of them off with an agreement, then we can move on to the ones that where there's a more of a difference. So for example, 3 of the 4 committee members want to give Door of Hope their full amount, and one's pretty close at $9,004.
Yes.
That's just a suggested approach.
We can just give it a couple of minutes to me and Mr. Ghazarian to see if we want to change anything. Might as well out the back right now. So Mr. Armenian's comment will be even more common ones pretty quickly. So let me see if I can do any of my changes here.
You have Door of Hope, Armenian Cultural Foundation. 3 people are very same numbers.
We're pretty close on Catholic charities too.
Correct. Boys Scouts, 10, 15, 12.
I think we have one. I think one of our major, not major, but one of the biggest ones is the Salvation Army that Mr. Ghazarian, I think, is above all of us. Let's see if he wants to any changes on that one, because he's the only one seems off, and then the rest.
I'm fine to go to raise it, but then we have to take it out of zone to put in there.
If you remember my question, I had asked them which one's a more high priority program, which is kind of why I went higher on the Pantry program versus the zone program.
Yes.
Their answer.
That's exactly why I get the zone. I mean the Pantry, the full, because it's really, it's really valuable and really necessary, needed, extremely needed.
Anyway, it's going to the same, isn't it only the same bucket, just different programs?
It is the same bucket, but they have to use it for whatever program they get the funds for. They have to use it for that particular program. They
I
cannot.
understand that. But what I'm saying is same agency, just different programs within the same agency.
Correct. Completely different projects, but yes.
I'm giving a 35 for 40 because kind of cutting more from the zone program than the Salvation Army, People's Choice.
Okay. So you want to change that to the 40? Is that what you're suggesting?
We can do that, yeah.
Chair Avedissian, I'm not sure if Committee Member Ghazarian understood the question. Committee Member Ghazarian, I think they're asking if for the Salvation Army, for the zone program, right now I think majority have it around 5,000. They wanted to know, right? That's the question, whether you guys want to have a consensus on reducing it to closer to the 5,000 number. Right now you have it at 10,000 for them. So I think that's what the question is.
Yeah.
Yeah, reduce it to 5 and make the Salvation Army 40, that's fine.
Okay.
So back to Mr. Armenia's initial request, I think we can sort of eliminate number 1 and number 8. Not eliminate, but pretty much we have understanding on those two.
Okay. You can just check them off or...
Actually, I'm sorry, Chair Avedissian, at this point, when you say we have consensus, because there's 4 different numbers up there and an average. So are we looking to identify a specific number for those 2 programs so we can move forward? Are you guys looking at the 40,000 and the 5,000? Is that what you were trying to say? Because right now there's, not all of you have the same amount for all of them. Just to
I
make
think
sure
it's
we
so
have.
close, we can adjust it once we finish. Right now, what I was saying is, we don't have to focus or think about it. It doesn't have to be the final number. We'll finalize it once we're done with the other 6.
Okay, sounds good.
I think the next one is that we're off is Salvation Army Zone, which is, I'm the only one, I'm sorry, not the zone, the food bank. I'm the only one with 37,000. Is that
Yes.
correct? All right.
Yes.
And so if I match that, let me see where am I going to cut it from. Okay, let's match that, and I'll adjust the Hamazkayin at 25,000 to be to 22,000. I think with this, and the only thing I think, Armenian Culture Foundation, Mr. Armenia is the only one.
Yeah, he's 50.
We have 2 on both sides, 5,000 difference, right? Or no, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. I apologize.
Line 7.
Yeah. I can come down to 45.
Now you need to allocate your 5,000 somewhere. I think Hamazkayin you're off compared to.
Let me think. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, Leah, let's put 5,000 in. Well, actually, I'm going to be off on a couple of them. Let's split that remaining amount between Hamazkayin and Boy Scouts.
2,500 each. So it would be 12,500 and 12,500. Okay.
I think the next one, we have Armenian Relief Society, and Mr. Ghazari and Mr. Armenia are 2 extremes, and me and Mr. Cherabedisyan are in the middle.
40 and 50, 45 and 45. Yep. Ms. Karagan, can I make a motion? Can I make a motion as a chair? I don't think
As chair, you're not allowed.
So I can adjust ARS to 45. And then I can have to reallocate 5 then, right?
Right.
So I would do, and again, split it between Boy Scouts and Hamazkayin. So that brings each of them up to 15,000.
Okay, that would be, I think then yours and mine will be identical.
But let's see if Mr. Ghazarian also on the ARS.
And ARS, yeah, Mr. Ghazarian has it at the 40.
If from Salvation, I can charge Salvation, just adjust. Take 5,000 from zone to put it in there.
From the zone?
No, that's gonna close out of the, where? Is that what you want, Mr. Gazarian?
Yes.
Okay. Um,
Okay.
So the Hamazkayin, we have three ways.
15, 15, 20, 22.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Boy Scouts, we have three-way. So those two are major differences. The rest are pretty much lined up, except Catholic Charity is very small number. So, but those two, which is Hamazkayin and Boy Scouts, we have three ways here. Anybody who wants to?
When you say three-way, what do you mean?
There are three different numbers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if I can change my Hamazkayin, drop it to 20,000, so it'd be close to Mr. Gazarian's number, and I can allocate that 2,000. Actually, you know what? Instead of 20,000, make it the 43,481 for Catholic Charities. The difference. So
that's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, 40,000, whatever that number is. So change Catholic Charities to 43,481, and add 1,480, so it'll be 21,481.
You made it more confusing though. You just added. You have to take it out.
Yes, I did it as a 600. Now this 519, earlier Iris who was it, told me that we're off on those small ones, the first one, I think Salvation Army, you want to adjust that 519 to Salvation Army on top, so I'll be on the 5,124, just add the 519 to it.
From the is saying from the ACF the Hamazkayin, the 18,519, the 519 from there, take it up to Salvation Zone.
Right, change the zone to 5,643. 5,643, and change the Hamazkayin to 18,000. So we have line 2, line 3, those two we are even there, equal there, right? And line 7, we're the same. We have three lines pretty much accurate, and line 8, we're almost there, it's only changed. How is that possible? Yeah, we're very close. Oh, because of unless if Mr. Gazarian wants to change the door, I hope to round up to 9880.
You'll have to adjust different ones. I'm fine with that. Let's average it out. You can.
Can I make a motion on my own number?
You can make motion on anybody's number. I'm sorry?
Committee member Gazarian, you still have $876 in the red.
I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Take it out. Okay, I can't mess it up. Hamazkayin.
Add it to the Hamazkayin, you think?
It's adjusted with Hamazkayin.
90,124.
Chair Avedisian, at this point, you still don't have a consensus on all of the numbers because some of you still have different numbers on certain agencies. One of you could make a motion suggesting whatever distribution that you have identified, or you guys could continue to deliberate to try to have a consensus against all 4 lines. At this point, there's still a couple of agencies where there's 3 out of the 4, but not all 4. So just wanted to point that out because I know that the spreadsheet might be a little small, so I just wanted to make sure that you all know that right now there isn't a full consensus on all the agencies. But
Thank
you
you.
are welcome to make a motion.
You can make a motion on the average, whatever it is, and the $1,400, we can adjust it from Catholic Charities. Not from mine, the average. I'm thinking to go with the average, whatever it is.
Okay, so my understanding is, Committee Member Ghazarian, you're suggesting going with the numbers that are in the average column, so each agency would get whatever is in the average column. And if that's the case, then we do need to reduce the $1,410.75 from one agency. That's what he said. So you're suggesting to reduce it from Catholic Charities?
Yes.
Okay. Eric, if you want to put all the numbers he's suggesting in column N, if you want to just type it out, just so everyone's clear on what we're doing. If you want to type out all the numbers exactly the same, except for Catholic Charities, reduce it by the $1,410.75.
I think between my numbers and Mr. Garibian's numbers, the only difference is between Boy Scouts and Hamazkayin.
Yes.
Of 3,000.
Right.
So I would be willing to adjust to your numbers if that gets us any closer, Mr. Garibian.
If you do that, I'll make a motion.
Okay, I'll adjust my number so it's just moving 3. So make my numbers basically the same as Mr. Garibian's, and the only differences right now are on line 4 and line 5.
Under Mr. Armenian, line 4, change that to 12,000.
Before we do, I think, just to be clear, was Committee Member Ghazarian, did you make a motion or you were just suggesting that at that point? I just want to make sure we don't have a motion on the table.
Yeah, I didn't hear a motion.
It was
I heard it.
It's okay. He wasn't speaking too loud, so I just wanted to be sure everybody heard. So that was just a suggestion.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have a motion on the table. It was just a suggestion.
That's right.
Okay, in that case, like I said, I would ask that you change my numbers to match Mr. Garibian's, and the only difference is on line, not line, Boy Scouts and Hamazkayin.
If I may, I want to make a motion to accept Mr. Armenian's numbers.
Go ahead, make a motion.
Making a motion.
You're making a motion to accept your suggestion.
Mr. Armenian.
You're making a motion to suggest to accept Mr. Armenian's suggested numbers.
Recommendation, that is
Recommendations. Okay.
Just for the record, can we have Eric read out agency name and amount as part of the motion, please?
No. The actual number.
Chair Avedisian, members of the committee, if we could also see if there's a second for that motion. That
Oh
would be
yeah,
great.
sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Armenian seconds it. Do you want me to read it in the motion?
Would you like me to read committee member Armenia's numbers?
Yes.
Thank you. For Salvation Army, total is 5,643. Salvation Army Food Pantry, the total is 40,000. Armenian Relief Society, 45,000. Boy Scouts of America, 12,000. Armenian Cultural Association, Hamazkayin, 18,000. Catholic Charities of Los Angeles, 43,481. Armenian Cultural Foundation, 45,000. And Door of Hope, total is 9,880. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call, please? No other questions, correct? Why?
Committee members Derivian,
Yes.
Kazarian,
No.
Ramirez is absent, Vice Chair Armenian,
Yes.
Chair Avedisian.
Yes.
And motion carries.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is 5 committee staff comments.
Okay. Mr. Karagian?
Yeah, first, when we
Hold on,
met,
Hold on, Ronnie. I think we have staff comments before we go to you. No?
okay.
No, go ahead.
Staff would like to inform the committee and the public that your committee recommendations are going to be posted on Monday, September 21st through Saturday, September 26th on our city's webpage. Public comments are going to be accepted via email, mail, and telephone regarding today's recommendations. Due to the COVID pandemic, this is the way we are handling public comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Raivan, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, no question, just a little comment that when we came up with the YWCA refunding their funds, and we discussed to have this open to help the agencies. First things first, I was not expecting to go over the budget, and that was a total surprise to me when I saw the numbers, and which in a way is a great thing, because helping due to these circumstances to all the agencies. But at the same time, of course, it makes our job a lot more difficult making decisions and cutting or adding agencies, and that itself, it's especially at this time, because they're all needed, no matter what the agency does, if it's COVID related. And in a short time period, the staff did a tremendous job to be able to put all these things together. So my hats off to the staff. Thank you so much for the speed to organizing and being able to talk to all the agencies, and obviously thanks to the agencies as well, because of the short period of time being able to do so much paperwork and be able to put this together. So it is in a way, it's a wonderful thing. We have extra money to give away, and it's obviously the cause, unfortunately, who wants COVID around, so, but it's needed, obviously. But again, it is a tough decision. It is really tough, because no matter what you want to do, every single agency, every single program, it's needed to do. But luckily, the way I see the numbers right now compared to requested amounts, we're not too far off, almost almost everyone got what's needed compared to their agency size. But again, having 79,000 over our budget, that doesn't help, especially when you have to divide that to 8, so that automatically pushes the numbers in different directions. So thank you to the staff and thank you to all the agencies, and wish everyone good luck.
All right, thank you. Any other comments?
This is committee member Armenian. My only, first of all, I echo my colleagues' comments. Thank you to the staff for pulling this together in record speed. But the only other thing I would say, there may be some agencies who, feel like they wanted to get closer to the amounts that they had proposed, and understand that we have to make some judgment calls here in terms of where these funds can have the most immediate impact on COVID relief. There's obviously more need than there are funds to deal with this, and so appreciate your understanding. You may or may not agree with how we went about this in terms of kind of where it finally landed, but please understand we do appreciate, I personally appreciate the value that each organization brings to our community, and please do not view the judgment calls in this moment in time as a reflection of having any sort of opinion one way or another, other than tremendous admiration for all the organizations that serve our community. But we as a committee do need to make some calls in terms of how we allocate these limited funds to gain maximum impact in our community. So thank you very much for taking the time to propose your ideas. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Armenian. Committee member, Mr. Azarian, any comments?
Thank you from staff on all the hard work and all the emails and calls. Sorry, some of them we didn't get respond. And I hope everybody is happy what they're getting. I wish we had more money to give out, and hope all the money goes to the right people and use it for COVID-19 to get over with these problems.
Do you have anything else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Azarian. I guess I'll take my turn. Again, I first and most want to thank our staff. They did an extremely speedy, correct, very timely. They were working hard, late hours. I've checked with them during the week, last week. It was, or actually beginning of this week. Late hours, they were still at the office, way past the business hours. We're still at the office working. Over the weekends, answering the emails from me. So I appreciate the committee. I really appreciate the staff that they do what they do. And of course, without our organizations and nonprofits that they are out there, and they're doing the dirty work, the hard work. They're lifting all this labor, giving all this love to the public and the people that is needed. It's really commendable. I appreciate every organization. I thank for every one of them for what they do and how they come around and getting funds to make sure their community members and with all the aspects are met. One thing I would again also I thank my committee members, everyone that participating. Unfortunately, Mrs. Ramirez is not with us today, so we miss you, Mr. Ramirez. Sorry that you couldn't make it today, but hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank all the rest of my committee members. And also, I just want to remind all the organizations, and as I reminded them, or I spoke earlier, the beginning of the meeting, please, when you do submit any RFPs, respond to any RFPs, please read the RFPs. Read and understand it. If you have questions, ask the staff. If the RFP asks for some certain programming or some certain time frame or whatever that might be, the RFP asks, please respond according to that. according to this RFP, we asked specifically for COVID-19 related activities and programs, but unfortunately we did not get all the committees, all the organizations giving us the response according to that. However, everyone got some sort of a grant, some sort of a funding, but then again, I would love to see that everyone gets more as much as possible that we can, and whatever monies that we receive. With that, if there is no other questions or comments, I call for closing the meeting. Our meeting are adjourned at 5:03 p.m. Thank you.